This video is not financial advice. Consult a professional financial advisor if you intend to make any moves contained herein. This video is for entertainment purposes only. In this episode, we're going to talk about Tesla insurance. There has been some buzz about Tesla potentially offering insurance to its drivers. I believe this program has rolled out to certain areas, but in Canada, Tesla only refers you to an existing insurance provider. After looking into this and thinking about it some more, I do believe that Tesla definitely should underwrite its own policies. It only makes sense. To give you guys some background, during the day I run a software consultancy firm, and what do you know, majority of our clients are insurance companies. So hopefully I can offer a unique view from within the industry. But do keep in mind that I'm from the technology space and not the actuarial side of things. Nothing I'm going to talk about will be confidential. Everything will be public knowledge. Within the past couple of years, the insurance space has been going through what is dubbed the digital transformation, nothing more than a fancy term for upgrading their legacy mainframes to something modern. One thing that does pique my interest is the amount of resources and money being thrown at big data and analytics. All these companies are really competing with each other to collect the most data from its clients, customers, drivers. And some of this data include telematics, whether they get it from an app that they ask you to install on your phone, which they claim to reward good drivers with lower premiums and promise not to punish bad drivers or bad driving behaviors. Hopefully, that's the case. I believe that is the case. There's also hardware-based systems where there's a little device that you plug into the OBD2 port on your car, analyzing your driving behavior, and all this data gets sent back. They're also connecting all of their backend systems to the Ministry of Transport, to be able to pull your driving records. Also connecting to credit bureaus and such. Basically trying to form a complete model of each of their customers, so to speak. And this is done so that they can most accurately determine and price risk, hoping to, raise the top line, improve the bottom line by lowering premiums on the good drivers to gain business. We can talk about that in a little bit. They want to be able to make buying insurance as simple as possible, whether this is through less clicks, less questions. And I think majority of us already know how painful it is to purchase insurance. They ask you a million questions, a lot of answers you don't really have readily available, such as when did you get your license? You really have to dig up that information. If they just want to be able to give you a quote with the least amount of questions you need to answer, the least number of clicks possible, so that they can give you that quick quote. Because today we really have short attention spans. And following this train of thought and how it relates to Tesla, it's really in that perfect position. When you purchase a car from them, they'll have to already gather pieces of information from you. I presume have to have your driver's license to go on the test drive. So with that information, they can also connect the Ministry of Transport to get your driving history records. They already know what car you're going to purchase. So they will know the model, the VIN number, purchase price. Basically, if you imagine yourself purchasing another manufacturer's car from another dealership, typically you'll have this back and forth of arranging the insurance policy before you can pick up your vehicle. Some dealerships will go the extra mile and help you fax over this information, coordinate this for you, but there's still some friction there. Would it be nice if Tesla could be that one-stop shop where, when you go place that order for your vehicle, they can also give you an insurance quote, and then when you go pick up your car, policy is already registered in your name in the car, ready to go. So I'm not sure how much seamless it could get. And now going back to the data collection part, Tesla's already collecting a lot of information from the car, from the driver today, because they make the car and there's so many sensors in the car. They can technically collect any information they want from the vehicle, like down to how often you open and close your windows, like if that helps in pricing risk or premiums or whatever, I don't know. But they are really in that unique position where they don't have to spend extra money or do anything extra to collect data from these drivers. And everyone that goes into purchasing a Tesla would already know that this is happening. So it's not like news, and everyone's basically just opting in when you go and buy connected cars, so to speak. So I'm not sure how, if Tesla decide to play in this space, how the existing insurance companies are going to beat that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they can top that. This is all about the top line, right? Like getting more customers. But if we dig a little deeper into how a insurance business operates, most of its expenses actually in claims. I think a good chunk of the expenses are in claims, up to about 70%. Overhead of running an insurance company is typically around 20%, and that leaves, on a good year, 10% of profit. So that's not a lot of margin to play with. So any little advantage a competitor has is a big deal. Could really affect whether they're profitable or not profitable. And what I mean by that is 10% is relatively thin and doesn't leave much wiggle room for if a competitor was to be able to lower its premiums by 10%, all the while making it easier to get quotes and easier to purchase a policy. How would an existing insurance company be able to retain its current customers without losing money? I don't know. So that's more on the top line. Let's look at the bottom line a little bit. So in the insurance industry, there is a metric that's being measured called the claims ratio or the loss ratio. And I think as stated before, this is around 70% of the premiums coming in. And this number is different for each insurance company. And I've seen anything ranging from 50 to 80%. So let's take 70%. This is not that important how much it is. And let's talk about Tesla for a moment and how Tesla can actually lower or improve its loss or claims ratio. And what constitutes as a claim? These are typical losses such as theft, fraud, accidents, anything that you can classify as a loss counts as a claim. And with Tesla being a connected car, wouldn't Tesla always know where the car is and make it that much harder for a thief to steal the car? I mean, what are you going to do with a stolen connected car anyway? Most of its features require you to be connected, and if you're connected, you're busted. So the only value I could see from stealing a Tesla is to sell it for parts. So let's agree that the value proposition for stealing a Tesla is not that high. And with all these cameras that's constantly recording, wouldn't it act as a good deterrent not to steal or attempt to steal a Tesla? So I think a case could be very easily be made that Tesla could potentially lower claims expenses on theft. So let's move on to fraud. Again, with all the cameras constantly recording, that would make it much harder to submit a fraudulent claim. And to give an example, we've all seen those videos where people run into the middle of the streets and hope you hit them, or throw their bodies at your windshield hoping to get an insurance payout. It's all recorded on video, so all the evidence is there and make it that much harder for fraud. And that's one type of fraud. If you can think of other types of fraud, leave a comment below. But again, here, I mean, it's quite easily to make a case that with all these sensors logging data and cameras constantly recording video, or ability for video to be recorded, would lower number of fraud for claims. Now moving on to accidents, I found a vehicle safety report that Tesla publishes quite regularly, and they constantly update and keep track of how many accidents per miles driven. So this is another metric that's measured. So then the latest safety report, the industry national average is 1 accident per 479,000 miles driven. Now, with autopilot on, Tesla was able to achieve 1 accident per 4.59 million miles driven. That's 9.5 times better than the national average. Without autopilot, they managed to score 1 accident per 2.42 million miles driven. That's still pretty impressive. That's 5 times better than national average. Notwithstanding that, I also found a blog post on Tesla website listing probability of injury
in an accident tested by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. And on this chart, Tesla Model 3, Model S, and Model X scores the lowest probability of injury in an accident of any car ever tested. I mean, if you look at the average of the top 50 vehicles tested, we can estimate from this chart of about 7.5% probability of injury per accident, and estimating the average of Model 3, Model S, and Model X, we can see an average of 6.21% of probability of injury per accident. That's 17.5% better than the top 50 vehicles tested. So I think it's very easy to make the case that Teslas are very safe cars. And with that, we can easily make the case for Tesla further reducing the expenses they need to shell out for claims. So, and speaking of accidents, wouldn't it be cool if Tesla was able to, upon detection of an accident, be able to upload video from all its cameras 5 minutes or certain amount time leading up to the accidents to the cloud? Would video and sensor data be enough to estimate the severity of an accident, thus saving the work of an adjuster to even come out to take a look and estimate what the damage was? And there's another thing that we need to talk about is, since Tesla manufactures the car, shouldn't they be able to repair the car at a much more, I guess, cost-effective way than any other insurance company, like where they actually have to pay someone else to do that work, and thus eliminating a middleman, so to speak? And in the case of total loss, I mean, wouldn't it cost Tesla less to replace the car with another car? Like, wouldn't it just be a cost versus an insurance company actually having to replace a similar vehicle in the case of a total loss? So if you add up all these, I'm going to say, pros towards Tesla, I think we can safely say that Tesla could have the best claims or loss ratio in the entire industry. So let's move on to overhead. What overhead is basically all the other costs incurred for running an insurance company. And that includes, building, infrastructure, operations. Since Tesla already has established operating infrastructure, the cost of taking on another department, the insurance department, should be relatively minor, or if not incremental, to what they already got. Also, since they don't have to hire agents or sales staff for this, if you are going to be able to purchase the policy when you purchase the vehicle, how much more does Tesla have to pay to the sales person that sold you the car? Probably not much to sell you the insurance policy. Another cost would be, I guess, customer support staff, which Tesla already has. So other than adding insurance specific agents or even training existing agents to take on some of the insurance support, I don't see that to be such a big expense or an added expense to his existing operations. And another advantage is, I think we already mentioned, is all the insurance company out there are spending a lot of dollars to collect data, to analyze data, basically to run their big data operation. Tesla already has this. They're already doing driver data analysis. They're already working on their dojo project, whatever they call it. They really don't need a separate function for this. They already have the existing infrastructure for collecting all the data and analyzing all the data. So again, it's relatively easy to make the case that Tesla could lower overhead. So what does this mean in dollars and cents? And I'm going to do some quick math here. The national average auto policy in the US is about $1,500. And let's say Tesla tends to cost more to insure. Let's use the figure of $2,000. If there were 1 million Teslas on the road and Tesla insures all of them, that's $2 billion in premiums. So if Tesla can reduce the claims expenditure by, let's say, a conservative 10% and eliminate half of its overheads as compared to a traditional insurance company, then 63% of the premiums collected goes into the claims ratio and 10% overhead. That would leave 27% profit, and these are, I believe, to be very conservative numbers. That's $540 million of profit. So in conclusion, I think Tesla is in a prime position to disrupt the entire auto insurance space. Now, all this time we've been talking about Tesla insuring Teslas. And here's a thought experiment. What about other makes and models? Now, indulge me for a moment and cast aside for the time being the social and moral etiquettes or even privacy laws concerns and go through this thought experiment with me. If Teslas are all equipped with cameras that are watching the road as it drives, can they not also watch other cars on the road? I mean, they're watching them, but I mean, what if they can collect data just by observing how other drivers are driving and then tagging that data to the respective license plate make and models of these cars on the road? Can they then gather this driving behavior purely based on observation? And I mean, the same car can be spotted and observed by numerous Teslas that it passes by as it drives along all over the city. And if all Teslas are sending this data back to a central location, so little by little, through bits and pieces of information, can we then piece together and form a more complete model of a set vehicle in this hive mind? I mean, could this happen? Can they then be able to better calculate risk for other mix and models? Could this happen? I mean, it is certainly within the realm of physical possibility. So let me know what you think about that in the comments below. And that's it for today. Always remember, friends, time is money. See ya.